This is my review for The Chosen, Season 1, Episode 3. Now, overall, I have to say that of the 3 episodes I've watched so far, this one is my favorite. I love kids, and whenever I see kids doing good things, it really just warms my heart. Absolutely. After years in children's ministry, I always love seeing it. Now, while I've been doing these reviews, I have gotten words that people are concerned about the Mormon influence, and I do have to say that while I did like this episode, I am seeing their concerns, so I'll try to point it out as kindly as I can. So in the opening scene, we have Jesus praying and whispering things like, Father, speak through me. So the idea that Jesus grew into some kind of Messiah role and just was a normal person, that I can see how they're getting that from Mormon teaching, because Mormons believe that God was once a man who earned his godhood. So growing into his Messiah role, that's a little concerning. So where they probably get that idea from is this verse where it says that he grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. However, that was talking about him growing up from a kid into an adult. Once he was an adult, he fully knew his identity. He knew it before he revealed it to anyone. He wasn't pleading with God to use him. He knew his purpose. And in fact, he knew his purpose in this passage when he was still a child and got left behind in Jerusalem. He was found teaching the teachers, and he said, "Did you not know that I'd be about my Father's business?" He had confidence even as a kid. Now, they do show off his carpentry skills, which I think is really cool. However, what we need to know about the word in the original Greek does not necessarily mean carpenter. It can, but it also could mean bricklayer, a mason, anybody who works with their hands for a living, a tradesman. However, it was a good way to show his connection with kids because he made them toys, and that was cute. I liked it. Now, there's no indication that Jesus lived on his own in the wilderness. John actually implies that he lived with his brothers and Mary. So when it says he was visiting, that makes sense. But in those days, you would have stayed with family, and I guarantee he had some relatives that lived near there that he could have stayed with, especially since Joseph's hometown was Bethlehem, which was not too far. Now, they did ask what his favorite food is, and he says bread. Oh, that was a nice pull. I did like that because he is the bread of life. I really like that one. Now, he refers to this kid Joshua as Joshua the Brave. What I really like about that is that it reminds me of Gideon. When God comes up to Gideon and addresses him for the first time, he doesn't say, "Oh, Gideon, whom I've chosen, who I'm going to make great." No, he says, "Oh, mighty man of valor," even though Gideon was being a coward at that moment. God sees us not as who we are, but who he's going to make us into. So calling Joshua, Joshua the Brave, I love that. When the kids are talking amongst themselves and they're wondering who he is and they suggest a prophet, the comment is made that there are no new prophets. And that's very true. That was the thinking of the time because it had been a few hundred years since anything had been written by a prophet. The Old Testament scriptures were completed. Now, there was one scene I absolutely loved when all the kids are working. I'm a huge proponent of giving ministry opportunities to kids, and they were absolutely helping his ministry. They weren't just doing free labor. I'm sure someone complained about that, but no, they were helping his ministry. They were providing volunteer services, but it funded what he was there to do. Take a look at your own church. Do you have any opportunities at all for kids to serve? Can they help with offering collection or communion? Can they be a door greeter? Are there things they can do? If not, you may want to have that discussion with leadership. Believe me, kids want to feel important and useful. And they might take some extra supervision, especially the ones with a lot of energy, but it really pays off in the long run. Jesus does mention how the girl doesn't go to Torah class. That's absolutely true. It was only for the boys because it was expected the women would learn from their husbands. When Jesus is missing for an evening, the kids ask where he was, and he mentions that a woman needed his help. I'm assuming he's talking about Mary when he cast the demons out of her, and I think that was an absolute great connection, showing that this is not all 100% chronological order, and it does connect the story together with the rest of what we've seen so far. I did like that. Now, when he's asked why he was here, he starts quoting Isaiah. And this is absolutely him revealing to these kids that he is the Messiah. And this is something that probably would not have occurred to them right there on the spot, But after years go by and they think back to that moment, they can remember, he told us who he was and we didn't even realize it. I like that. That's a great thing because we get those realizations all the time. We are thinking and one day we remember something that happened when we were kids and suddenly we have this kind of revelation of, oh, that's what that meant. I do like that they set up for that. Now, the last time they come back, it was very predictable that Jesus would be gone. They would come back and suddenly he wasn't there. There's not going to be that long goodbye because, well, obviously he's going to see them again at some point. Now, I know that they're using the English versions of people's names in this show. So calling Jesus Jesus instead of Yeshua, yeah, that makes sense so that the audience doesn't get lost. However, if they had gone by original language, they could have added in an extra opportunity that I think was missed because one of the boys' names was Joshua, which actually in Hebrew is the same name as Jesus. It's Yeshua. So I just think that was a missed opportunity where Jesus could have said, oh, hey, we have the same name. But with the English versions of the names, yeah, didn't work. The final scene where she reads the message left behind by Jesus really hit me hard. He makes this whole entire playset for her, and then it simply says, I did not come only for the wealthy. Oh my. That really hit me very deep. Like, oh yes, absolutely. So overall, it was my favorite episode of the 3 so far that I've seen, but I am starting to see the elements like growing into the messiahship, the messiahhood, or messiahness, whatever the word is, growing into a messiah. That absolutely is, goes right along with the teachings of the Mormon Church. I don't think it's inherently Mormon, but I am starting to see people's concerns.